handsome snake. It's part of my toy collection of snakes. I've got about 20 or 30 of them. It's got a lovely head and this rather odd-looking body just made of light plastic, I think it is. But what on earth is this thing here? A little wind-up mechanism and feet. Well, I've come across snakes that slither on the ground, and of course that wonderful desert snake, the sidewinder, which goes sideways. But feet? What do you think the action is? Well, I'll put it on the table and see what happens, shall we? This is a strange snake. Oh my goodness, it hops. That is totally bizarre. And a long running motor too. So when they eventually discover a hopping snake, it'll create a huge interest in the world of zoology, but I'm sure they don't really exist. But what a great idea. So this is about 30 years old, and it came from this company, I suppose, probably in the Far East. They're calling it so Flying at Snake, strange grammar. And they invite you to get the rest of the collection, which is Wandering Skeleton and Mad Cannibal. I think they're probably just the same thing with heads, and then the rest of it is a funny body and a little wind-up mechanism to make it hop, hop, hop. But this is certainly one of the weirdest things I've ever come across as a snake toy. I think that is totally wacky. Yeah. The people who are very much involved with snakes, certainly as toys and the craft ones, are the Indians. And from India came this one, which I got back in 1979. Although there's not much of it left now, because the original actually was made of bamboo, and it had a rather handsome, this is my attempt to make a copy of what they had on the front. And the idea is it reaches out towards you. It's one of those lazy tongue action things. This is what I've added to over the years, so now it reaches about 4 meters across the room. Huge long thing. Goes right off the screen there. Woof. I think it ought to be accompanied by a hissing noise or noise or something, because it's really quite frightening actually when you do it at kids sitting there not expecting something to come straight at them. It really is quite something. So it's been a lot of fun. The original was only about that long, I think it was. It's quite short, but I've added and added and added, and now I'm even using a bit of carbon fibre here to make it go really a very long way. So that's been a lot of fun over the years. It doesn't look like a snake very much apart from the head, but the action of reaching out suddenly was very, very successful. The best and most snake-like one I've ever come across is this one here, which I picked up in '79, and I think it's supposed to be from South America originally. It's a wood which is called, well, a friend of mine called this wobbly wood, and when I shake it like this, look at the action. I think they have two pieces of wood, like the two halves of the snake going down the middle of the body, and they join them, when it's a solid piece of wood, with some sort of cloth, I think it is, or plastic in the centre. And then they take a series of cut to make it flex so far and not any further. It only does a few degrees of movement. But the effect is just fabulous. That's such a realistic snake and nice functions as well. And since then I've noticed a lot of other animals. For instance, I've had a fish toy in my collection for some time now. But I've had an artist friend I've known for many years, Jeff Sohan, who makes all the most wonderful things out of this strange technology, including giant animals, you know, several £100 they cost. He calls them all wobbly wood, which I suppose is right, it does wobble, but it's so realistic, because that's exactly what happens to a fish bone or snake bone. It will flex a certain distance and then it won't go any further to resist any further change. So that's the granddaddy of all the snake toys. I think it's a very, very fine invention. I was looking through my collection to see if I could come across any ballpoint pens, which are always made of different shapes. This is the nearest I came across. It's a little bit snake-like. It's not that good, to be honest. But the idea is you push it out and then a little, well, it's a ballpoint pen coming out of there and it retracts. I'm not so sure about the snake because those look vaguely like bits of feet there, which suggests it's more like a crocodile, but it's got too long a body. So I'm going to say that's a snake ballpoint pen. What do you think? The most remarkable of the craft toy ones I've ever come across is this one here, a most unpretentious looking piece of cardboard strips. It does the most wonderful action. Well, this is not cardboard, this is a bit of plaster, I think, for the eyes of a snake. So look at the action on this. When I pull this back, this central bit here, it seems to arch its back as if it's about to do a strike. When I push it forward, my goodness me, a tongue comes out. Wonderful, wonderful action. Back it goes and then forward it goes to make a strike. Very simple bit of cardboard engineering, but a fantastic effect and a big surprise when it comes out at you. Fantastic. Haven't yet found from my records who made that wonderful piece. Well, congratulations to them. There's quite a number of these nut things I've got in my collection, mostly small ones with wiggly creatures, all cantilevered. But this one, since we're on to snakes alive, has got a snake in it. This is a little cantilever here. There's a heavy weight at the back of the snake. and it pops up and down when it's pressed. But it makes a nice version of a cobra, and I like the snake's body that appears there amongst the green, which is good. So a nice one, that. They lend themselves to practical joke snakes, don't they? So there's two here which I've had for many years. In fact, this is probably the oldest of all my snake toys. This goes back originally to about the 1890s, is my guess. It's the old something in a tin business. So this is a nice misdirection though, because it says nuts, and it sounds like nuts, but of course it's a secret compartment. Because when you open the thing expecting nuts, what you get is, oh my goodness me, yes, one of those. I suspect back in Victorian times to make it look a bit more snake-like, but a spring coming out of a can, very old idea, great fun. And another one which has been out for many years, and in fact we've just recently got some for our Christmas packs, is the old, again a practical joke, rattlesnake eggs. Inside here apparently are, open with caution, rattlesnake eggs. And so it's fairly thin packets, so they're small eggs that they're going to be, so I better open it with a bit of care, just in case something is going to happen. Oh, my goodness me. Oh dear, yes, it's one of those. You wind it up about 30 times, and when someone opens it inadvertently, a horrible rattling sound which gives them a fright because they're expecting something a bit dangerous inside. Two very nice practical jokes there. This is a very old toy. I've seen these going back, 40, 50 years, made of some sort of alabaster thing. A very simple little mechanism. This is supposed to be a frog, and when you pull the lid back, the snake comes out. Well, the snake's been played by the kids for 30 years, so you can see he's lost his tongue. I must put a little bit of balloon on there to make it look like a tongue. But a very simple little mechanism here just to make it pop up, and he's now going to try and eat the frog because there's a snake coming out of the ground. That's very nicely done. And a craft toy from, I think, the Middle East recently. A much more recent toy with this one here, which is the old air bulb. It's a nice one, this, because the air bulb actually looks like the snake's body, all curled up. You need to put your finger around the bottom to stop the air from escaping and then squeeze it. And yep, well, his tongue comes out, one of the old rubber tongue business, or put it on the table and squeeze it hard. Yes, that's not bad, actually. Again, I feel that it should make a noise as it comes out, but it hasn't, but never mind. Here's a very strange thing which came out of, I think, the southern states of America, or from South America originally. It was a snake. Well, it's a very elegant looking snake. You've got sunglasses on. It's made of rather nice material, but it's got lots and lots of coils of, it's almost invisible nylon threads, I think, which is holding the whole body together. But what's it for? What's all this business around? It turns out that this is actually a t-shirt. Beautifully disguised, so of course I couldn't undo it. I'd have one which is done and one is not done. So this is what it looks like. And just to show you, it is a full-size adult t-shirt. There's the front of the t-shirt with the arms and the neck, and the head comes through there. But I haven't done the last bit of the body, which is right at the tail, which is the head of the second snake. What an extraordinary idea. So when they make these from a white t-shirt, they have to roll it up to start with. Then they do all these lovely dyes and colours and so on. And finally, they twist it, and then they put round this very, very tight band of almost invisibly small nylon string to hold it all together, and you get this snake suddenly appearing as a t-shirt. Extraordinary idea. I love it. The Japanese have come up with a very strange idea for a snake toy. I don't know whether this is a wrestling match or a boxing match, whatever it is, but what a bizarre idea. There's 4 snakes around, they're all made of metal. This is the key to the thing. There's a motor and a battery inside there, and this is magnetized. That's the clever bit. That's magnetic. So if I take the snakes off for a minute, you'll see that as I hold it up, it won't come off because there's a magnet holding that snake together. It's holding on. So very strange. So let's try 2 of them just as a start. We'll try the green snake and the red snake. We'll have them battling. There's a simple little mechanism here to turn it on. You just do that. And wow, look at that. Quite random. The idea is when one of them is kicked out, he loses the match, and the winner is the one who's still in there at the end. I find it sometimes stabilises a bit too much with just 2, so let's put in a couple more. There's a blue snake from the blue corner, and a yellow snake from the yellow corner. And let's see what that does now. Now, we've got a whole bunch of snakes here. Turn it on. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, look, the red's been kicked out. He's lost. He's the first out of the ring. Oh, I think the yellow's gone as well. Yep, the yellow's gone as well. So the last 2 can go on for minutes and minutes and minutes, and I think I'll leave them to it, but that's the idea. I think the point is there's a very slight nip up at the corner of the ring, and that stops them from leaving the ring too early. But an extraordinary idea, isn't it? A snake match. And the last item is probably the most extravagant technologically. It's an acoustic. It's got batteries in it. It's an acoustic toy. There's a snake in the basket. There's batteries in here. There's a switch which I'll turn on, but nothing happens. Well, actually, there is a microphone down there, just beside the snake's hood. And this is one of these very strange type of acoustic switches, which isn't the usual clap your hands and something happens. You have to have a sustained sound, and then it'll drive upwards. In the absence of sound, it drives down. So if I hiss at the microphone, up she comes. But they thoughtfully provide a little flute, so you can really become a snake charmer. I can't play the flute myself, so I'm going to make an awful noise, but I'll make some sort of noise. That's all you need to make, is just a noise. Here we go. That's about as high as he goes. He waves at the end, and then you have to let him go back down in the basket. But every time up he comes again. A bit noisy, the flute, because I don't play very well. Ooh, I think he's gone to sleep. Huh. Have you?